Have you ever felt looked down on, just because of your height, your face, or how small you seem? There was once a king who had many sons. Most of them were tall, handsome, broad-shouldered princes, but one of them was short, thin, and physically unimpressive. Whenever the king looked at this small son, he felt disappointment and shame. Whenever he looked at the taller brothers, his chest swelled with pride. The short prince noticed the way his father's eyes changed. He was not blind. He could feel the cold judgment in the air. One day, in front of the whole court, he stepped forward and said, "Father, a short, wise man is better than a tall fool. Not everything that stands higher in height stands higher in worth. A clean, sharp sword is more valuable than a massive, useless carcass. A thin racehorse is nobler than a fat, stable donkey." The king stared for a moment and then burst out laughing. The pillars of the court shook with the laughter of the ministers, but the tall brothers went pale with anger. Their pride had been pierced. Time passed. A powerful enemy appeared at the borders of the kingdom. War banners rose on both sides. Armies lined up. Drums thundered. Fear spread in the city. When the two forces faced each other on the battlefield, the first one to ride forward into the open field was the same short prince. He shouted, "If you see a head in the middle of dust and blood today, that's me. I am not the one whose back you'll see on the day of battle." And with that, he charged straight at the enemy line. He struck down several of their strongest warriors in front of everyone. Blood flew, armor cracked, horses screamed. When he returned to his father's side, he dismounted, bowed, and kissed the ground. "Father," he said, "you once saw my body as small and weak. Now you know. It is not bulk that matters, but what lives inside. A thin warhorse is useful on the day of battle. A fat cow is only useful on the day of slaughter." The fight was not over yet. Soon, the king's soldiers began to panic. They saw that the enemy was many and their own numbers were few. Some quietly turned their horses to run. The short prince saw it and roared, "O men, either fight like men or go home and wear women's clothes." Something in those words hit their hearts. Shame turned into courage. All at once, the riders gathered behind him and launched a fierce attack. History says that on that very day, they defeated the enemy army against all odds. After the victory, the king embraced his short son. He kissed his head and eyes, and from that day onward, he looked at him with new respect. In time, he even chose him as his heir. But the tall brothers, whose pride had been wounded twice now, once by words, once by deeds, fell into the darkness of envy. Their bodies were strong, but their hearts were sick. They secretly mixed poison into the prince's food. From an upper balcony, their sister saw what was happening. She slammed the window shut in fear. The prince noticed her strange behavior, looked at the food in front of him, and quietly pushed it away, untouched. He smiled bitterly and said, "It is impossible that people of true talent die out and the untalented replace them. No one seeks the shade of a crow, even if the royal falcon is gone." News of the plot reached the king. He summoned the jealous brothers, punished them as they deserved, and then sent each of them to rule a far corner of the land, so that their rivalry and fitna would not tear the kingdom apart. For as the sages say, 10 poor men can share one blanket and sleep in peace, but 2 kings cannot fit inside one small kingdom. The lesson? Do not judge yourself or others by height, beauty, or show. A small body can hold a giant soul, and a high position can hide a very small heart. True rank is not measured in centimeters, but in courage, wisdom, and the good you do when it truly matters.